Hi, I'm John, the voice behind TwoBros Radio Control, and we've owned the Freewing F-22 for 3 years. It was flying great too, up until this happened, and grounded the F-22 for a full year. And she's back, baby, and in the Mobius 1 scheme from Ace Combat 4 Shattered Skies. The Freewing F-22 boasts supreme maneuverability, ease of access to all flight surfaces, and best of all, it's simple to get a neutral center of gravity right out of the box, unlike other jets in its class. Even though Motion RC markets it as a trainer jet, the F-22 can be as docile or as crazy as you want it to be. Flat spins, inverted flat spins, loops, rolls, barrel rolls, back flips, front flips. This jet just does it all. Speaking of crazy maneuvers, this is one of the jets that performs the best Cobra maneuvers that I've ever managed. Don't get into the habit of thinking that a fast climb is a Cobra. The jet has to break airflow over the wings with minimal altitude gain. It takes a lot of skill to determine when to start the maneuver, plus you've got to be able to recover from a near zero airspeed condition, but it's awesome. And I'm almost confident enough to do it right above the ground. The Raptor is so beautiful in the sky and so capable of anything you want to do. Just watching all of this footage should give you an idea of how much fun I've had with the jet over the years, but especially now with the upgraded setup. I'm pretty sure the only thing that's better than this is a turbine setup, and that's prohibitively expensive, and prone to making the jet break up in the sky at the speeds that I'd be trying some of these maneuvers at. The one thing this jet is not good at is high alpha. Even with crow mixing similar to my Viper 90mm, it can only perform a seriously unstable high alpha pass. It lacks stabilizing fins and clean airflow. The vertical stabs get blanked out in deep stall at high angles of attack. So, what's the solution to this? Well, do it inverted. It's kinda goofy looking at first, but once you get used to it, you won't want to do it any other way. Just make sure that you practice up high and get used to steering with rudder. If you get into trouble too low, you'll end up crashing like I did at the air show. We all make mistakes, so learn from them and you'll grow as a pilot. After a few years of owning this jet, the one major upgrade that I can recommend for everyone is a 1 3/4 inch TwoBros nose wheel and 2.5 inch TwoBros mains, all of them low bounce wheels of course. If you're flying off grass, consider going with a 2-inch nose wheel for strength. The stock wheels are stiff and they transfer a lot of shock to the airframe on rough landings, which contributes to the main retracts coming unglued over time. So don't be afraid to pull them out at the first sign of flexing and add Gorilla Glue to strengthen them permanently. The jet is grass capable in stock form, but the low bounce wheels make a big difference in shock absorption.
Mobius 1, perform landing check. You are cleared to land. Nicely done, Mobius 1. Go and prepare for your next sortie.
With the jet using a full crow configuration and gyro stabilization on the tail surfaces in both roll and pitch, it flies incredibly well for landings. The gyro is on a curve that becomes very strong at landing thrust with flaps dropped, making the jet almost impervious to wind outside of major wind shear. Some guys will call it cheating. I call it flying the F-22 as scale as possible. It's no more cheating than the full-scale flight computer in Mobius 1's jet, and if it's good enough for the Air Force, it's good enough for me. This same stabilization makes takeoffs a breeze as well, with the Spectrum AS3X system taking care of the jet throughout the flight envelope. If you're the kind of person who doesn't want to fly the F-22 scale, go without a gyro by flying it nose heavy. Move the battery up and you'll see positive stability without a gyro. Another upgrade that I recommend is replacing the nose wheel servo with an AGF-RC B11 DLS servo that's linked in the description below. Use it with a linkage stopper and you'll get full throws on the nose wheel, allowing you to turn tightly on any surface. The jet will be more prone to tipping over if you're not careful, but you won't ever have to go turn it around by hand if you run off the runway. Takeoffs with a new setup are super easy, almost effortless. Throttle up gently, rotate, clean up the flaps and gear, rinse and repeat. It's hard not to love this jet and how amazing it is.
Mobius 1, you are cleared for takeoff. Altitude restrictions cancelled. Return to your mission, Mobius 1.
To cover the quick setup, my original 6-cell setup was flown on the E-flite Viper motor. The jet now flies on the new Freewing Eurofighter motor, a huge upgrade in speed and thrust. The climb performance is off the charts, making the jet fly like it's on 8S without the wing loading penalty. I also added high-tech D85 MG servos throughout the airframe for $350. I equipped an Avian 130 amp ESC, which runs a separate 5-volt BEC to the retracts, which gives the servos 6 volts from the Avian and the retracts 5 volts, so the Avian won't burn them up. I also ran a full 17-channel system to completely emulate the full-scale F-22, even increasing the gyro priority so I tell the jet what to do, and the gyro decides how best to accomplish it, just like its big sister. You can't get more scale than this. I know the setup part is a huge info dump, so consider joining our Discord server if you want to find out more, or consider watching the old setup guide from a few years back, which covers most of this. It's conveniently located down in the description below. This jet is absurd now with a new setup, new servos, and ridiculously powerful Freewing motor. It's an entirely different beast than the F-22 you might have remembered back in the day. The servo upgrade isn't entirely needed, but it does make the movement of the jet so much more precise, so much so that the servo upgrades are exactly why I opted for a more fly-by-wire gyro configuration. Without this setup, it felt weird and twitchy to me, but having the gyro smooth out my inputs even more not only made it fly better, it also is very true to scale and makes the jet feel like an extension of your mind in the sky. It really does do whatever you tell it to do, and with the dual rudder setup, I've added some serious speed brakes that destroys some lift and allows the jet to penetrate wind shear and turbulence. A massive plus considering the conditions at the airport that I fly from. The Freewing F-22 finally makes its way back into our hangar after a year's break, and it's so amazing to have it back in Mobius 1's Livery. The sheer enjoyment of this jet is nothing less than phenomenal, and with that comes the review score, a nearly unprecedented 10 out of 10. While it's not perfect at high alpha due to its scale design, it does almost everything else you could consider, and now it's shipping with the new high-performance Eurofighter motor, which is a complete game changer. You get more thrust than the equivalent FMS fan, and you don't have to shave any foam out to make it fit. You can make this jet as complex or as simple as you desire because of how accessible all the servo leads are. If every model aircraft was this easy to customize, I'd be thrilled. The Freewing F-22 is an amazing flying jet that's approachable for intermediate pilots and skilled beginners, and it can be modified to fly very much like the full scale. Consider taking the plunge and push yours to the limit, and if you don't have one, go pick it up from Motion RC. See you guys next time, and be sure to join us on Discord and let us know what you think.
Sky Eye here. Mission complete, head back to base.